Welcome to this week's edition of Time with Your Banker and Financial Advisor, sponsored by Ecobank Ghana Limited. So far, we've been discussing banking, and it has been very, very interesting. I hope you have enjoyed the two series we've done so far. We'll be looking at interest rates, not deep into interest rate, just a brush on interest rate, because we'll bring another person to talk into interest rates, and then we'll look at exchange rate in future. But today, we are just brushing through interest rate, and then we'll look at what is happening on the micro sector of the financial industry, especially in relation to microfinances, money lending, and Susu companies. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
We believe there's nothing Africa can't achieve when we're all on the same team. That's why we're right behind you, offering a full range of accounts for everyone. From Ecobank Direct and Classic accounts to Advantage and Premier Banking by Ecobank. Because there's no limit to how far you can go when you're part of our team. Ecobank, the Pan-African Bank.
Welcome, viewers, to Time with Your Banker and Financial Advisor. This program is sponsored by Ecobank Ghana Limited, the Pan-African Bank. We're still on banking, and I have already said, we are looking at interest rate and then microfinances. Still with Mr. Philip Boabin, the principal of the National Banking College and a renowned lawyer. He's a chartered banker by profession. Stay tuned. Sir, welcome back.
Thank you, Betty.
So, I have taken a lot of your time, knowing the way you are very busy. I'm most grateful. The way you are very busy.
Not as busy as you presume.
Oh, but sir, I know it was difficult getting you on the program, but I'm grateful because you've been able to make it 3 consecutive times with us. Thanks so much. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sir, interest rate. What do you have to say about it? The bank's interest rate.
Betty.
Yes, sir.
Interest rates.
I call him sir because he's taught me way back in 91. So he's my sir and my boss at the same time.
Bank interest rates have been a very topical issue for some years now. I've attended not less than 4 conferences
on interest rates.
On interest rates,
so
organized within Accra here. You know.
So should we say controversial interest rates?
Yes, it has been very controversial. And the discussions at the end of the day, you find it difficult to actually blame the banks.
Why?
One, interest rate in the first place is the price that one have to pay for money.
Yeah.
And banks are in the business of selling money.
Buying and selling.
Yes, and so the banks buy money and sell money.
They trade in money.
Yes, and
like any tomato seller, buying and selling.
The issue we're saying is that the banks are perceived to be buying low and selling high. Let's look at the buying low. Deposits rates are said to be low. Most of the banks are now having to pay very high for their deposit liabilities. And the culprit is the rates on treasury bills.
Treasury bill rate
yes.
has something to do with the interest rates that banks charge on facilities?
Yes, it has a lot to do. It's an alternative investment avenue. So if I have my money and I go to the bank and the bank tells me they're going to give me 20%, I'll ask the bank, what is the treasury bill rate? And ask the banks to buy treasury bill for me. So if the bank seriously want to take my money, the bank may have to either match the treasury bill rate or possibly even add something to it.
Add something to entice me to put
my money with them. So,
are we talking about any amount?
No, not in a amount. I believe the 10,000 and above. Yes, these the banks. The depositor will surely negotiate and would want not to take anything less than treasury bill rate. So the treasury bill rate.
But what is the treasury bill?
Oh, the treasury bill rate. Just like we talked about savings, government also needs to borrow. You know, government income and expenditure will not always coincide. At a point in time, there are a lot of money that will be collected in taxes, you know, and at a particular quarter too, there may be shortfalls, but the workers need to be paid, and therefore the government need to fill the gap. And one of the means of filling the gap is to go into the general public and getting money to fill the gap.
So treasury bills are basically loans or monies that government borrow from.
Exactly. Normally 91 days, 81 days, you know. And if the rates are high.
But some are 1 year, 2 years.
Yeah, these are bonds. So when it gets to 1 year and above, we call them bonds.
Okay, yes. They are no longer treasury bills.
Yeah, we technically call them bonds. But so we're saying that if you go to the banks will tell you that a big chunk of our deposits liabilities are attracting high interest rates. Then let's come to the sell side. That yes, is high. That one I agree is high. Within the West African sub-region, and in fact within Sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana is touted as posting one of the highest interest rates
compared to other countries, neighboring countries.
Yes, we are.
I see.
A common base rate calculation formula was agreed, you know, in 2013 for all banks to use to calculate the base rate. And one of the components, mainly the cost of funds of the banks, the operational costs included, the margin that the banks have, because the banks are in business for commercial business and for their shareholder value also, what they will slap on them. But a main issue, and which is also equally controversial, is high default rate. And
people take loans and not.
Yes, and therefore banks also slap a margin of the risk, you know, on it. So you ask yourself, is it a chicken and the egg, or the egg and the chicken? In the sense that if the interest rates are high, it also becomes difficult for the borrowers to also pay. No, because the business may not be able to deliver so much profits or income to enable you get the over 30%, over 35% and thereabouts that is being charged. So the issue is it the high interest rate that's also contributing to the high default rates? Should we bring interest rate down, and will that encourage
the borrower to pay?
to pay? And of course, Bank of Ghana has also done well by putting in certain regulatory measures, including the Credit Reference Bureau, for example, so that in a way to reduce the credit risk environment, so that chronic defaulters, you know, can be
weed off.
Yeah, fished out and with that off. But the non-performing loans continue to be worrying. You are not getting less than 15%, I mean, averagely, as non-performing loans. And if I give out loans, then the 15% will go bad. The tendency for me to also ensure that this risk is also covered. And so one, the general macroeconomic environment, improvement in the general macroeconomic environment will help. Banks also understanding very well the risk profile of the businesses that they underwrite will also help, so that there will not be one-size-fits-all interest rates that is slapped on everybody, whether you pay or not. If I take a loan and I'm creditworthy and I'll pay,
and I'll pay, why should I be penalized?
You slap a
high interest rate on my lending?
On me because my other colleague would not pay. You know, of course, banks are banks, and they also know, they are supposed to know their customers. And I believe that if the customer, it is also, customers are also conscious, you know, bargain, and it's negotiated. So it's really not slapping one-size-fits-all on banks.
So we'll take a short break. Viewers, we'll take a short break. But before we do that, our very learned banker and the principal of the National Banking College raised some very pertinent issues. He's talking about defaulting of loans that most Ghanaians take from the banks, and that constitutes part of the high interest rates that bank kind of slap on facilities that they give. I think my advice to the general public is that the monies available that are being given out is depositors' funds. So if you go and you take a loan and you are not paying, you should know that the bank obviously need to recover that money, because that money is for another person. And in so doing, if the bank is not able to collect the money it has given to you, by what the discussions we've just had, it means that in calculating the next interest, the bank will kind of add that money into its calculation of the interest and will end up paying higher interest rates, which does not augur well with businesses. Because if you go for a facility and the rates are high, the probability of you not being able to pay will also go high, and at the end of the day, businesses will be collapsing. So my candid advice to all of us as individuals and as Ghanaians is that when we take loans, we should make conscious effort to pay. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. This program is sponsored by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
We believe there's nothing Africa can't achieve when we're all on the same team. That's why we're right behind you, offering a full range of accounts for everyone. From EcoBank Direct and Classic accounts to Advantage and Premier Banking by EcoBank. Because there's no limit to how far you can go when you're part of our team. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Viewers, welcome back. Before we just left, we were talking about interest rates, and we were encouraging Ghanaians to kind of inculcate the habit of paying off facilities or loans they take with the bank, so that at least it will help the bank reduce the rates that are charged generally on bank loans. Sir, you just raised an interesting question. What I don't understand is that if someone, as you already said, is paying his or her loan, or a company is paying his or her loans very well, why would the same interest rate be charged over and over? At least that company can get a rebate.
Yeah, the interest rates can be reduced for you the next time you are borrowing.
That's
and
what
you prove that you are credit worthy.
That's
and
what
your
I'll
credit
just say.
history indicates that you are credit worthy, and that one you can use it as one of your evidence to support the fact that you are not a high risk borrower, and therefore negotiate a primary. Yes, there are some companies who virtually borrow at the bank's base rate, but virtually.
Because the bank knows they will pay.
The bank knows that they will pay. The bank knows that they are credit-worthy.
That's interesting.
Yes, yes. There are some banks, I don't need to mention the name, but some blue-chip companies who are borrowing at a very
low rate.
Low rate.
Because if the interest rate...
At the base rate of the bank. You know, here, the risk... Credit, the risk premium.
They are credit worthy.
No, it's not slapped on them. When you are going to take a loan, you are going to buy a product. And when you are buying a product, you have the right to ensure that you get it at the right price.
Worry.
The worry is that the typical borrower needs the money, and therefore he goes...
He's desperate.
Yes, desperate, and he goes and at a price, and even with the documents that is asked to sign, they only look at where should I sign? Means sign, without even reading the terms. And I think the education should go to make the borrowing public also be aware that they have a right. Remember, there's the Borrowers and Lenders Act 2008, where the borrower has rights just like the lender, and the borrower should be aware.
So suppose my worry is that you have your track record with Bank A. Now you have been enlightened, and you now know that you can negotiate the rate, the interest rate on a facility. You go, the negotiation did not go down well with you. You are not so desperate for the facility for you to take the interest rate that is being slapped. So you decide to go to Bank B. You don't have that track record with Bank B. What do you do?
Oh, these days, the competition has made it possible for you to do that. Those days when we were banking, there was this traditional practice that you need to sit with a bank for 6 months before you be considering loan. But these days, you may be saving. The banks are even buying loans from other banks.
Oh, okay.
Banks are even buying loans from that.
Buying is, because this program is such that we want the Ghanaian to...
buying loans in the sense that if I have a loan with Bank A, and I think that I may even need a top-up, and they may think that at that particular point in time, they may not be able to get me the top-up. I can go to another bank, tell the bank that, hey, this is the business I do. I'm indebted to this bank. I need more money. Unfortunately, they are not prepared, or they may not be in a position to give me now. Can you help me? And they can give you a loan to go and pay off so that you come to that. It happens.
You pay off your previous
they pay off your previous debt.
And then you rope on into their products.
Yes, with a top-up.
With the top-up.
Yes, and the banks will not shy away from you if you are able to demonstrate that, yes, I'm doing this good business, and I'm in records show I'm credit-worthy. Yeah. I'm with this bank. I want to switch with the bank. Ask them.
Anyway, your bank statement is there.
Yeah, the bank statement. The credit officers, they poach customers. They poach loan customers.
I see. So that means your track record is there. Your turnover can be assessed by your bank statement.
Exactly.
Whoever is coming on board has the ability to assess whether indeed what you are saying is true or not.
Yes, that's one of the essence of competition. Let the customers benefit from the competition.
So is it the same with the microfinances? Because they rather charge very, very high interest rates.
I told a group I talked to on a public forum that, yes, it is very true that banks' interest rates are high. But if you think that banks' interest rates are too high, try the microfinance or try the non-banks. Yes. The microfinance came in to fill a sort of gap because banks are and were and still are not too conversant with the informal system for the economy, the SMEs, especially the real informal economy, and as we talked about with the need for financing, you need the money. You even talked about startup. You need some small amount of money that can change your circumstance.
Yeah.
And the banks are not ready to to go in there, a gap is created. And this gap is felt by microfinance.
I'm looking at the high interest rates of the microfinance institutions. So we'll have to go for a short break. We'll be right back. Viewers, we are taking a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. This program is sponsored by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
We believe there's nothing Africa can't achieve when we're all on the same team. That's why we're right behind you, offering a full range of accounts for everyone. From EcoBank Direct and Classic accounts to Advantage and Premier Banking by EcoBank. Because there's no limit to how far you can go when you're part of our team. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Welcome back, viewers. This program is proudly sponsored by EcoBank Ghana Limited, EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Viewers, we are still on interest rates and microfinance institutions. Sir, microfinance institutions, their interest rate is rather on the higher side. Looking, if you compare it with most banks, yet people patronize. And you realize that they also kind of record high defaults in the payment of loans. That is, they have a high portfolio of non-performing loans. What about that?
Yeah, I did indicate that they came in to fill a gap.
Yes, sir.
That is left by the traditional universal banks. There's a direct relation between high interest rate and default rates. And so if we did say that banks high non-performing loans, the high interest rate contribute to high non-performing loans. And the same is true of microfinance institutions.
That would be even worse because their interest rate is quite higher than that of the main traditional banks.
So again, the education to the public is that don't just go in for the money if you know that the cost to you will be too high. Don't go for the money if you think that what you're going to do with the money will not be able to bring more back when you take away your interest and all other expenses to make you better off.
Apart from the interest, how we are even going to pay for the facility? Because most microfinances have closed down because of non-payment of loans they have given out.
Yeah,
I think they also lack the requisite
One of the main challenges of the microfinance institutions is the fact that people get the money and they go into it as any form of business, not knowing that banking is different. Mm-hmm. And in banking, you go in to assume the risk and manage the risk. And you need to know what is in it. You need to know the basic principle of underwriting. You need to know the basic principle of whether the nature of the person's business and whether the person I'm giving the money, given the nature of the business, is likely to pay. And especially also ensuring that you are prudent enough, you go by the Bank of Ghana prudential requirements, but ensuring that you don't give all your load, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Bank of Ghana has a single obligor rule. Go by it. Make sure that a certain percentage of your total loan portfolio doesn't go to one person. Diversify your portfolio. Don't lend long. You are taking money from depositors who you promise to give them back the money anytime you call. Why do you give monies for 5 years?
When you have taken money that you want to pay within a month or two.
Yes, those microfinance companies that are going in financing assets and with a duration of 5
But
years,
they,
you know,
most
are
of them
digging their own grave.
You think they are registered or being regulated by bank? Have they even been licensed?
Now, a lot of them, at least at the latest on the top of my head, about 448 microfinance were legally registered by
Bank of Ghana.
Bank of Ghana. The challenges.
But yet, some are collapsing.
They are not focused also. You are a microfinance company and you want to be in other businesses as well, establishing subsidiaries, you know, and pushing...
With depositors' money.
Yes, the tendency is also to put depositors' money in it as well. But Bank of Ghana has regulations and that you cannot invest certain percentages in subsidiaries. But these are being flouted.
Sir, what do you have to tell Ghanaians? Generally, looking at the various discussions we've made, we've had.
Yes, a lot of, about 448, at the point I checked my records, are licensed by Bank of Ghana. But do not be enthused by the fact that this microfinance institution is licensed by Bank of Ghana, and therefore I can do whatever I have. I mean, I can trust it 100%. Bank of Ghana does not guarantee that this microfinance is going to
do well or...
Yes. Bank of Ghana, yes, with will try with its limited resources, you know, stretching around the whole country with all these microfinance institutions. Well, have put in place mechanisms, you know, to have some sort of supervision, but let's just be honest. It will be difficult for Bank of Ghana to be able to ensure that the bad notes are thrown out. And
so finally, I could see the microfinances, some giving very high interest rates to customers to kind of attract deposits.
That's also the challenge. That's it.
Some can give us 5–10% interest a month.
Ask yourself, this person who is giving me 10% a month, times 12 is 120%. Ask yourself, in Ghana, what type of business are they doing to enable them give me this 1–2%? That is the basis for Piram. That was the basis for Arab. That was the basis for DKM. The microfinance that we have here, yes, they are filling a gap, but it's strictly a business. And I don't also think that the commercial aspect should be allowed to mess up things within the economy. So the caveat is, let the buyer beware, let the depositor beware, and let the borrower also beware.
Sir, thanks for making time with us on Time with Your Banker and Financial Advisor. We are most grateful.
Thank you.
Looking at your time and your schedule and how busy you are, we are truly grateful.
Not as busy as you perceive me, Betty.
Oh, sir, I know the nature of your job and I know how busy you are. Viewers, this is where we'll end today's episode of Time with Your Banker and Financial Advisor. It has been very educative and insightful. We have been with Mr. Philip Boabin, the principal of the National Banking College, a renowned banker and a lawyer. I have known him way back in '91. He was already in the banking industry at 1991, so you could see how seasoned and renowned he is. I am your host, Betty Ayi, the Eagle Banker. Catch you same time next week on Time with Your Banker and Financial Advisor, proudly sponsored by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Thanks for watching.